From a dope victory over Cyril Gane for the heavyweight title to a potential matchup that might be the last step to earning the GOAT title, here's everything you need to know about the beef between Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. See, these two kinda deserve the spotlight, and while the fighters were kinda scheduled to take each other on at UFC 290, Jon Jones isn't really sure about it happening. I mean, let's be honest, the beef needs to be stronger for the event to top Johnny's perfect heavyweight debut. 3 years away, ring rust had nothing on him. Who else is doing it like him? Can't think of many, can you? Cause the guy utterly bodied the Frenchman, and now that he has yet another belt around his waist, Bones is looking for greater challenges. The first thing he did was call out Stipe, and as I said, man did it a little too humbly. And coming back to the weird fight not happening statement from the champ, he thinks Miocic is ducking him. Jon took it to Twitter to say that the heavyweight GOAT was scared and had dodged him for the entirety of 2022, and Jon was hearing rumors that they may not be fighting this July. On one hand, this could be a step to creating the somewhat missing hype, but there isn't really anything that implies that Stipe is ducking the event. Now, at this particular moment, everyone, including Dana White, wants this fight to happen, but that apparently doesn't seem to be enough. Miocic had stated that he would be prepared for the summer, but after seeing an interview with UFC president Dana White on the Pat McAfee show, White appeared to blame Jones for the fight's booking delays. This was when Miocic turned the whole ducking the fight around on Jones. And as it turned out, Jones wasn't too fond of Miocic's message. And although it took him a few days to reply, Jones fired back, saying that his going under the radar was one thing, but Stipe using it as a confidence booster was rather funny. I'm gonna be honest here, these guys are bad at trash talk. Anyway, now because of Jones' long-term viability as a heavyweight, there are still many unanswered concerns. Competing against an all-time great like Miocic would go a long way towards helping Jones establish himself as the heavyweight division's face. And yes, a fight could still be in the works, but the main event of UFC 290 is likely to be a flyweight fight. And even after so much dilly-dally, Stipe is literally unfazed by Jon's tactics and has assumed that the fight is on. Now, the latest rumor has it that it has been rescheduled for the fall. According to White, the organization wants the event to take place in November, and by the looks of it, it's gonna be the legendary arena Madison Square Garden, because the UFC usually makes an annual return there every fall. So Dana said that everything was looking good, and hopefully the fans will get the fight with Jon and Stipe very soon. He said if it was going to go down, they'd much rather do it at the Madison Square Garden. And no one was happier than Jones when he heard that he'd not only get to take down the GOAT, but that too in his home state. So emotional that he even hinted at the fight being his last. And guys, I don't think anyone is saying this enough, but ever since the Cameroonian left the promotion, I think Stipe is the only guy who can stop Jones' domination. So yeah, it's going to be a super entertaining fight regardless. And the truth is, Jon is in fight mode. For him, the battle started when he decided to move weight classes, and since he can't engage with Stipe the way he did with Daniel Cormier, he's trying to keep it light by messing with his head. Like all those comments about calling him an old-timer, and how the 40-year-old should forget about firefighting for a while and focus on training. That's mental warfare right there. So yeah, you can bet on the fact that Stipe won't duck him. In fact, he's the last guy to do that to anyone, and things are only going to get more aggressive from here. But enough with all that. How will the fight play out between these two titans? Cause honestly speaking, I think this will be Jon's toughest matchup yet. I wouldn't have said this if Ngannou was still on the roster, but Stipe's the only hype guy left in this division, so Jones will seriously need to step it up if he wishes to subdue the former two-time heavyweight champion. And taking a closer look at their fighting styles, I believe it's a really fair matchup because Jones might be the better grappler, but Stipe is built to endure. I mean, yeah, if I'm talking wrestling, there's clear difference. Jon uses his wrestling abilities on offense, while it's a bit more defensive for Stipe, and the same goes for grappling. The only time the old-timer grapples with his opponent is to catch a break or escape an awkward position. Apart from that, he loves the good old stand up and fight. He's an excellent hitter who has enough firepower to put away Jones without any problem whatsoever. But hey, People said this about Cyril too, no? And look how that ended. Cause see, John is too diverse when it comes to striking. He's probably the most complete fighter Miocic will ever go up against. Because when John's doing it, he isn't just throwing punches. It's a mix of jabs, elbows, kicks, you name it. It's an all-out attack, so maintaining the distance and staying out of the line of fire is exceptionally tricky. But like I just said, Stipe is built to endure, and I don't think any fight can get more compatible than this one right here. Despite that, there are enough differences between the two to make it an exciting and suspenseful fight too. They represent a world of difference in their approaches. It's a good guy, bad guy thing going on. Plus, you know, there's this other factor. Cha-ching! Everyone gets rich. Alright, coming back to the who might prevail section, obviously the guy with striking superiority. Look, it's more of a who will be the GOAT contest rather than an actual title fight, and when utilized properly, the elbow, one of the most effective offensive moves in MMA, it either slashes, knocks out, or earns the fighters some points at the very least. The finest fighters are able to execute several versions of the move, including the uppercut elbow, the spinning elbow, and the elbow slash, you name it. The classic horizontal elbow or the descending elbow from the top position is devastating on the ground for superstars like Jon Jones. And you can't deny, Bones and his elbows give him that edge. He throws all those in more than one way, and not to anyone's surprise, they all hit. Whether it's breaking Vera's face or shaking Stephan Bonner's world, it is super dangerous. They can turn any tide with one elbow swing. Just given Jones' knack for kicks and elbows, to me, it seals the deal. Plus, there are the odds, which are already making Stipe the underdog, but that doesn't really matter. Coming back to who's running from who, I think no one, because if you take a step back, Miocic was actually the first person to show an interest in the dream matchup. And while everyone was expressing their wishes out in the open, it was Johnny who blatantly called Miocic out during his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan at UFC 285. Jones asked the crowd if they wanted him to beat Stipe. Obviously, the crowd gave him a huge cheer as a yes. He even asked Miocic to start training because he wants him real bad. Okay, that might have been a little sus, but I guess there's no judgment there. Plus, when the camera panned towards Stipe, he had this look on his face that was screaming that he was more than ready. So, who knows? Maybe we're gonna see a 3-time heavyweight champion, or we will, yet again, witness Jones make history. Because none of these fighters is about to go down easily. Let's hope we get the fight as soon as we can. Having said that, that's everything for the Miocic versus Jones beef.